Hello everyone. I hope you had a good time until now, and I hope you are prepared to learn something new. Because today we're going to learn about the past simple, past continuous, and jobs. At the end of this lesson, I expect you to be able to identify the past simple and continuous in a sentence, to be able to use and distinguish the two tenses in speech, and to enrich the vocabulary with words describing jobs. We use the past simple to talk about events, states, or habits at definite times in the past. For example, I woke up early this morning. We often use the word when to introduce clauses in the past simple. Past continuous tense. We use the past continuous to talk about events and temporary states that were in the progress around a certain time in the past. For example, we were cleaning the house all morning. We often use the word while to introduce clauses in the past continuous. Regular and irregular verbs. Whenever we talk about the tenses, particularly about the past tenses, we need to know the regular and irregular verbs. Regular verbs take the ending ed whenever we use them in the past. For example, call, called, liked, wanted, worked. On the other hand, irregular verbs don't take the ending ed. They change their form. Here are the most common irregular verbs in English: feel, felt, bring, brought, and so on. So, you have to be careful when you deal with irregular verbs. Please do not add the ending ed. We see the forms of the sentence in the past continuous: the affirmative, the negative, and the interrogative. The order of the affirmative form goes first the subject, then the auxiliary verb, then we have the main verb plus the ending ing, which we add to the main verb. For example, I was playing. If we want to change this sentence into the negative form, we have to add the negative not. I wasn't playing. If we want to make interrogative statements, then we have to switch places between the auxiliary verb and the subject. From I was, we change it into was I playing. We see other examples here. You were playing, you weren't playing, were you playing? Remember something. We use was in singular persons. We use were in plural persons. Now we have the forms of the sentence in the past simple. The order of the affirmative form is subject and main verb. We don't have an auxiliary verb here. It's not necessary to use it. Example, I talked. If we want to make negative statements, then we have to use the auxiliary verb did and the negative not. I did not talk. Questions are always made by using first the auxiliary verb did, then the subject, then the main verb. Did I talk? We see other examples here. You talked, you did not talk, did you talk? Contractions. Note something. Did not can be shortly written or pronounced as didn't. Now let's talk about the jobs. We know that there are different kinds of jobs that we do to earn our living. We've brought you some basic jobs that most of the people do. The athlete, the engineer, the soldier, the doctor, the worker, the teacher, the dancer, the postman, the policeman, the writer, the baker, the architect. Do you have somebody in your family who does one of these jobs here? When we talk about jobs, we have some endings that we usually use. For example, people who work with engines, if we add the ending ER, we make the word that refers to the job as engineer. People who direct the others, we add the ending OR and we make the word director. If you work in a reception, you are a receptionist. If you work with music, then you are a musician. And then we have other suffixes like double E, referee, and so on. Exercises. Let's see if we reflected something on the lesson. What do you think? What's your opinion basing on what we've talked earlier? We often use the past simple or the past continuous tense to describe completed actions. Do we use the past simple or the past continuous tense to describe actions that continued for some time in the past? What do you think? Did you complete the gap? So, here are the answers. The past simple describes completed actions, and the past continuous describes actions that continued for some time in the past. We have 3 sentences here, which you are going to try to change their form. We watched movies every day. If we want to change this sentence into the negative form, we have to do it like this. We didn't watch movies every day. Remember, when we use did, we don't need to add the ending ed. Or if we want to make a question, did we watch movies every day? Now you have to do the others. Did you eat sandwiches at school? They didn't swim in the sea. Please complete these sentences. Now we have sentences in the past continuous. We see the first sentence is in the negative form. You weren't drinking a tea. If we want to change it into the affirmative form, we do it like you were drinking a tea. If we want to make the interrogative form, then we put the auxiliary verb first. Were you drinking a tea? Now you have to change the form of the other sentences. Was he sleeping in the bedroom? She was singing. Well, please try to change the form of these sentences. Describing a job. Have you ever thought of describing a person? What does he do to earn his living? What do you think? Who designs buildings? I would say architects design buildings. Who looks after the animals? I think vets look after the animals. And who cuts hair? The hairdresser. Homework. Talk about your family. Use the prompts and when or while. What were you doing and what were they doing when or while you got home yesterday, went to bed last night, were having breakfast, left home this morning? And the second task that you're going to do is describing the jobs of your parents. What do they do? Describe in short words. this was all for today. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I hope you didn't have any difficulty to understand the important parts that we discussed about. I hope you will have a good time